Hello, my name is Augusto Penaranda. Most people call me Gus. I am the current executive director for the New Jersey Pride Chamber of Commerce. We are the only LGBT chamber of commerce in the state of New Jersey, serving all 21 counties. I'm here today during Pride Month in support of the New Jersey Department of Labor uh, Pride Month celebration to talk a little bit about the chamber, to talk a little bit about how I became the head of this organization, and then a couple of little LGBT uh, statements on some issues and some things that you can do to help support the LGBTQ community throughout the state. So the New Jersey Pride Chamber of Commerce is 9.5 years old. It is one of over 50 different affiliates throughout the United States, all chambers of commerce themselves, with our national board, the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce in DC. And like any other chamber, our primary goal is to support our members, which are business owners, small, medium, large business owners, provide education, offer data, social events, networking events, business opportunities, funding opportunities, and so forth. And normally you would say, well, there's nothing different than any other chamber, so why would you need an LGBTQ plus chamber of commerce? Well, I tell people simply remember when you first realized that you were different, that there was something about you didn't know what it was because there's no book, there's no guide, and then you realize, oh, you know, you are attracted to the same sex. So now imagine remembering going through that and the entire experience of coming out, of talking to your parents and your friends and the fear and for athletes, being discovered and basically just shutting down and trying to protect the facade of you before you realized that you were different or you realized who you were. So now imagine trying to open up a business. Hey, I'm going to go and I'm going to open up a business and I'm going to put up a gay flag. And then you realize, oh, wait, is it the right thing to do? I am proud of who I am, but do I want to put the flag out? I don't want anybody to get, hurt or harassed. Is this the right neighborhood? So it is weird that the LGBT community must think of things in how it may endanger or affect, things that they do in their life, whereas other minority groups, women, Hispanic, Black, they too have similar worries, but they, for the most part, can open up anywhere um, and deal with some of the same social issues and setbacks. But for an LGBT business owner or someone that wants to open up a business that's LGBT and wants people to know that they're LGBT, there is that issue of a safe space, of property damage, of being, accused of things or being banned from the community because they don't want your type of store, on their main street. So these are some of the reasons why there is a need for an LGBTQ plus chamber of commerce. And just like there's a Hispanic chamber, an African American chamber, we know the problems that a lot of these business owners face, and we have to make sure that we can support them in any way possible. And of course, still provide funding opportunities and whenever possible, business friendly legislation to support them in the state of New Jersey. So that's in a nutshell why we need the chamber. Now, one of the wonderful things is since I came on board as executive director January 3rd of this year, one of the primary goals that was given to me was we need to pass executive order number 295. Now, not to get into too many logistical details, basically that is an executive order the governor can sign. We don't have to go through the legislature that would recognize LGBT-owned businesses in the same way that minority and women-owned businesses are recognized in the state. Now, why would we want that? Why do we want to, label ourselves as women and minority-owned businesses are? Well, there are benefits to it. There are over 28 Fortune 500 companies that call New Jersey home, and every time they allocate a project, whether it be for furniture, painting, electrical, art for the lobby, a new building, landscaping, whatever, they allocate funds specifically to women and minority-owned businesses in the state so they can bid on these projects. And now many of them allocate for LGBTQ-owned businesses as well. This is very important because you want to be, if you're not aware of the opportunities that you have and you're not recognized by the state, then you can't participate. So one of the primary goals that was given to me was that we must get this executive order, though temporary, passed so we can start, educating members on the benefits of certification and being recognized by the state. Well, 127 days later, on May 3rd of this year, Governor Murphy in Lambertville, New Jersey, at the Union Coffee House or coffee shop, signed Executive Order 295. So as of May 3rd, all LGBT-owned businesses in the state of New Jersey are now recognized by the state. So this is a huge step. I mean, it is not the be all end all, but this is a huge step forward, now being recognized by the state. So the Treasury is now going to make sure that all the terminology and wording is correct on their end because all certifications go through Treasury. And once it's done, which we estimate all of this to be finished by the end of summer, we are going to begin an educational program through all the 21 counties in the state of New Jersey to make sure business owners, would-be business owners, non-LGBT ally business owners, and just the public in general understands what this means and how to take how to benefit from such an executive order. So that was one of the main goals at the beginning of the year, and we did it in 127 days. So now we are concentrating on beginning the outline to move this forward into law, which is going to take longer. But at least now we have about 3 years to get this done, and once it's law, then it cannot be changed, whereas an executive order can be undone at the end of the sitting governor's term. So that's another reason why you would need an LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce, because these are the things that we are going to address. Being a business owner is difficult enough with employees and supply and demand, especially in these post-pandemic times, and salaries, insurance, and taxes, that the last thing you need to worry about is legislation. But just know in the back of your mind that there is an organization that is out there working for you. Now, one of the things that we tell people when we speak about the chamber is that the board members are all volunteers. They're all business owners in different fields around the state of New Jersey. Since we represent the entire state, we are we are all residents of different municipalities in the state. And we work together via Zoom or in-person meetings now. And then we try to put together the events of the year or the events of the month. Now, June is Pride Month, so it has been a roller coaster. We've been going to the Garden State Equality event in Asbury Park. We've been at our event at the Hyatt Regency June 2nd in Jersey City. We've been doing events at the Watermark in Asbury Park. We've been doing events in South Orange and so forth. So, there's a lot that is involved, a lot of work that takes place, but most people don't know about this. As I speak to more and more LGBTQ plus organizations around the state of New Jersey and the US, they do not know that there are LGBT chambers of commerce that they can work with. And if you see behind me, my wall, I am a huge soccer fan. I play soccer. I also play flag football for LGBT clubs. And it's amazing. Even the sports organizations throughout the United States aren't aware that they have LGBT chambers of commerce. But that is slowly changing. And that leads me into another reason why we are trying to make sure that all of our organizations are communicating. I mean, Pride Month is the best month to get a message out, but we're LGBTQ 365 days a year, for the rest of our lives. But now that the focus is on on June and Pride Month, we try to make everyone aware that there are other organizations, and it's about time that we come together and begin to work together, because it's funny how you work for a sports organization as a volunteer and they're always asking about, well, when am I going to get a sponsor, or where do I get a sponsor? Yet Sitting next to you is a member of an LGBT Chamber of Commerce that you don't know about, but you want to know who their members are? Businesses. Businesses that may be in the position to support or sponsor your team or your tournament and so forth. So again, this is just, if you don't know, you don't know. So in business, if you don't know, it's going to cost you, possible revenue. So my goal as the executive director is to promote the chamber, to promote business, to promote the services of the Chamber of Commerce, but also to bring in new business. And one of my focal points is LGBTQ plus sports or tournaments. People have been coming to Philadelphia and New York City for decades: softball, soccer, football, baseball, wrestling, tennis, golf, you name it. There's an LGBTQ plus sports organization that's having a tournament, but they land in New Jersey at Newark International, but then they go to these other cities because no one has ever brought them to New Jersey and say, hey, why don't we have a tournament in New Jersey? Well, the New Jersey Pride Chamber of Commerce changed that. We started, it was a small start, but it is a start by having the first ever Pride run in Atlantic City in April. It's people that are professional runners, and they ran the boardwalk in, an early Saturday morning. It was a great event, and we're hoping to have it come back. But this is just the beginning. I mean, I want LGBT flag football tournaments, softball tournaments to come here. Why? Well, it brings in business. One national softball tournament can bring in over $4 million in revenue in 1 week. So imagine if you are in a municipality and you're hosting a softball tournament and you host, 6,000 softballers for a week. They're eating, they're drinking, they're taking Ubers and Lyfts, they're in hotels, they're tours, guides, you name it, the Walgreens. And then when they leave your municipality, your businesses have drawn in about $4 million plus dollars. So this is something that I'm going to bring to New Jersey. My board is also focused on this as well. We are talking to the local teams. Remember, New Jersey has football, has hockey, has soccer. So I'm talking to the Jets organizations, the Gotham FC, the New Jersey Devils, and we are going to see what we can do to get this going. But one of the side effects of LGBTQ plus sports is mental health. And I know everybody hears mental health when there's a shooting, and that's a horrible thing, but there are serious issues with mental health, but it's not necessarily what you see in the news. Now, I'm not a psychologist or an MD. I just go by what I read and what I see and research. And during the pandemic, a lot of LGBTQ plus individuals, especially older individuals that don't have a spouse, were pretty much on their own. And when you're, at home alone, and whether you have a pet or not, I mean, all you have is your computer or social media or television, because you weren't allowed to go out because everything was closed. And if your life, like the life of so many LGBTQ plus individuals is to go out socially. You have an event on Monday, you have an event on Wednesday, you have a sporting event on Friday, a get together on Saturday, and you couldn't do that for almost 2 years. That has an effect on the mental wellness of an individual, any individual. And so that is why I support LGBTQ plus sports so much, because during the pandemic, even though we couldn't play on the fields, people were interacting via Zoom on almost a regular basis just because they wanted to keep in contact with people that they knew, that was their only outlet. Now, even the chamber can do that. They were trying to do events, social events via Zoom. Some were successful, some were okay, but it was just to keep the lines of communication and the interaction visibly of each other during these difficult times. Because loneliness affects everyone. It doesn't matter if you're LGBTQ plus or not. But in the LGBTQ community, you have to it's just a little bit worse. And, we have to make sure that we communicate with those that, we may think don't have anyone, or we know they don't have anyone, because it is difficult to be alone. And, speaking from experience, sadly, suicide is, very high in our community. And, if LGBTQ plus sports can help can help someone from not taking their life, if having social events representing the chamber can have, can help someone, realize that things will get better, then we're going to continue doing this because that's the right thing to do. And I mean, if we had more time and if we were in person, we can have a back and forth. But I'm trying to bring LGBTQ plus sports into New Jersey because that is a good thing. It's a good thing for the mental stability of a lot of LGBT athletes who maybe did not play because they realized that they were different or wanted to play, but felt, they weren't, going to be accepted by the non-LGBTQ athletes. We're going to bring this. We are going to accomplish this with the existing professional sports organizations in the state, and the chamber is going to work hard on this. But one of the things that we're looking forward to is if you live in New Jersey, you know something called the League of Municipalities, which happens every November in Atlantic City. It's where every single town, city, township in the state comes together to find out what everyone else is doing. Well, this year on November 15th, the LGBT community is going to have its own breakout session at the Borgata Hotel. And the New Jersey Pride Chamber of Commerce, working together with Garden State Equality, are going to put this together. And we'll be posting information in the next few weeks about the event. But if you want to learn more about other LGBTQ organizations, if you want to learn about what other things the New Jersey Pride Chamber of Commerce does, what Garden State Equality does, how we're going to bring LGBTQ plus sports into New Jersey, then this is the place that you want to be. And it's going to be free for all LGBTQ plus organizations in the state, or the tri-state for that matter. But this, we hope, is yet another window, another avenue in which the younger LGBTQ plus youth can see a brighter future. Because yes, we have our laws and we don't get involved in a lot of the political and social battles, but we are aware of them. And businesses, LGBTQ owned or LGBTQ ally owned businesses, can make a difference, because one of the things that we have to talk about as a community that many other communities do not is a safe space. If you're playing sports, we have to make sure the fields are safe. If we're hosting a tournament, we have to make sure that the venue is safe. If we're having an event, we have to make sure that the venue is, accepting of the LGBTQ plus community and so forth. So we have to think about safety as and in where the phrase a safe space comes from. And even in New Jersey, we still have to think about that. So I wish I had more time, but I just wanted to give you an introduction to what the New Jersey Pride Chamber of Commerce is, what we are doing, what we are going to do, and how we're going to help the LGBTQ plus sports community come to New Jersey. Listen, I hope you have an amazing Pride Month. Please feel free to reach out to us, to me. You can reach me through our website, NJPrideChamber.org. And hopefully I'll see you at one of the prides or at one of our signature events coming up in the state. Once again, have a happy Pride Month, and we'll talk soon. Take care.